My previous company was Amazon for 8 years as a senior manager leading teams. So I built teams and products doing artificial intelligence for recruitment across the globe. And at the time I left in May this year, there was around 1.8 million employees.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 138. This next guest hails all the way from Scotland, and he's actually recording this bright and early in his morning and me in my evening. I love it when I interview guests from all over the world. And I remember when my team came to me and they showed me his bio and they said, "Is this the right fit for your show?" And I looked at it and I thought, absolutely, this is the right fit for the show. I really can't wait to bring this conversation to you. You're going to be blown away. So Jon Binnie, he in 2024 left his 26-year career in software development, latterly as a senior software and artificial intelligence manager at Amazon for 8 years. Amazon, software, AI, this is where he was hanging out. And he left all of that to basically follow his passions in well-being, completely changed gears. So Jon is a clinical reflexologist, mindfulness meditation teacher, and quantum energy healer, which you are going to find out what this means if you don't yet know. And by the way, guys, this conversation is not woo-woo, as I would say. It is not airy-fairy stuff. It's genuinely needed stuff that you're going to here in our conversation. So he's qualified as a mindfulness now teacher in 2023. He completed his practitioner diploma in clinical reflexologist training coursework as well. He just opened his brand new business in May, like only a few months ago. And you're going to hear about that as well and what he does. He's such an incredible energy and spirit, and he has so much that I know he's going to do with this next part in his life for the planet. And again, not to be woo-woo, but I want to ground you into this conversation because it left a bit of a profound mark on me. And I have a feeling there's going to be some of you guys out there that really need to hear this information right now. So let's do this and let's welcome Jon Binnie onto the show. Welcome to the show, Jon. I'm really looking forward to this chat because I have no idea where it's going to go. And that makes me actually really excited.
Yay. Hello, Heather, and thank you so much for having me on today.
Oh my gosh. So what a cool chat we have in store. And we're on opposite sides of the planet. I am in Sydney and you're just in an area outside of Edinburgh in Scotland, yeah?
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Amazing. Okay, so we're going to start this conversation. I always like to give our listeners some tangible takeaways and tips. And then we're going to get into your journey and who you are and how you help people. And to start with, tangible tips it is. So what are a few tips that you can recommend for somebody that's growing a business, doing amazing things on this planet, and is feeling a little stuck or stressed or overwhelmed with their journey?
Okay. And I wish I'd given myself this advice many years ago. Some hard lessons to get here. So yeah, my first advice is you're not alone. There's many people across this planet feeling like you right now, and perhaps worse. And the key to really unlocking and unblocking yourself and, helping address those feelings of stress and anxiety and burnout, like you're just always on the edge, like you're one more cup of coffee or one more meeting away from going off sick, that is really to take a step back and focus on my first tip of self-love. If we're so used to loving other people, right? Loving our loved ones. Yeah. We're really good at it, right? Our partners, our friends, our family. But when was the last time you showed yourself that you love yourself? When did you last not work late because you thought, oh, actually, I take good care of myself. I love myself. I wouldn't ask my partner to work late, so I wouldn't ask myself to work late. Or when was the last time you did something unusual for yourself, where you just took time out to enjoy a childhood passion or something you've not done in many years, or the things that really ignite your heart, or as simple as a nap or taking a break or some meditation or dancing or whatever fuels your fire. And I feel like that's one of our key fundamental missing parts of
Yeah.
our modern cultures. And so, yeah, my key first tip, self-love.
Before you go into the second, what if somebody forgot what fuels their fire?
Um, in some respects, it's good news. I would recommend you explore. And so one thing I did is I picked up my skateboard after just over 30 years, and well, I bought a new one actually, and everyone I'm 47, and everyone else around me told me I was crazy and I was going to die or something horrific would happen, and I just picked up this skateboard and I skateboarded around walking my dog, and it just filled my heart with such love. I also
Yeah.
tried climbing trees and um, going for runs and like just explore. Like you'll remember some things. You might be a little bit scared of them, especially as you get older. But yeah, definitely the exploration, and maybe even book in some time in your calendar to do that.
Nice. I like that. Okay, what's another tip?
So in your business, don't just bring self-love to yourself outside of work, like bring self-love into your business. And when you think more about like what that really means, it means that when you're going to your customers or your manager or your director or VP or CEO, whoever you're going to, and you're saying, here's my new product,
Yeah.
here's the new project, this is what we're going to deliver for you. Don't do it in isolation. Think about self-love for yourself, what's sustainable for you, like the hours, the pace, the time for receiving ideas for innovation. Not always push. That there's moments where you're able to receive more and innovate more. And
Yeah.
then also for those that work for you, your teams, your company, if you're always pushing really hard, you might achieve that goal. You might be able to get all the way to the top of what you promised to deliver, but you would fail to have a sustainable life and work-life balance, and fail to have a happy, high-performing team or teams.
Yeah.
And so I practice combining like forward-looking or a vision from the future, like 3 years in the future, looking back to what I would do today to achieve it. And I mix in and amongst that all the things I want in my life, my family life, and the people I work with and the customers I work with, so that it's much more holistic. And I feel when you do this, it creates these beautiful tensions. You know, like is it better to just, to hit 90% of your metric goal or 80% of it and still be sustainable and ready to move on to the next project, or to hit 110% of it and collapse? Like you've got to decide. And that's, I think that's the beauty of really balancing these things holistically.
It's fascinating you're saying this right now. I almost feel like you're coaching me directly because it's a conversation that I have actually been having with my own team, and something that they're reminding me to do myself as a business owner. So, really interesting timing on that second tip. And thank you for that. Any other tips that you want to share?
There are infinite number of universes that describe all the things in the universe that you don't want, right? And actually, you'll never be able to describe what all the things you don't want are.
Yeah.
And so it's much easier to just spend, but well, easier is it? It's less writing to do. Is just write down like 2, 3, 4 bullet points that describe like your dream life. Include your business, include your work life, your hobbies, where you want your life to be going. And it's a really simple exercise, and yet so many of us don't do it.
True.
And in the times that we feel lost and misguided or just really annoyed with the world and everyone around us, it can be a great place to go back to,
Yeah.
and to also share with others. When you write it and you share it, I think it's very powerful. And I do a lot of camping as well as work. Almost every weekend, me and my family are out camping, and it's like, I think since I started my own business, we've never done so much, and it's just so much fun. And
It's so
these are
good.
things that we actively discuss as a family. We say like, these are this is in our vision. Like it's like number 2 in our bullet points. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's my other tip.
So good. Oh my gosh. Okay. So you briefly touched on that you have a business. So now I'd love to go there with you and to understand where you came from and what you're doing these days. as a business owner.
Fabulous, thank you. So my background, 26 years in software engineering and artificial intelligence.
Wow.
My previous company was Amazon for 8 years as a senior manager doing leading teams. So I built teams and products doing artificial intelligence for recruitment across the globe. And there's, at the time I left in May this year, there was around 1.8 million employees. And so there's a lot of effort to automate, but fairly and responsibly automate key steps of the recruitment process. And I really love that, like it for the geek in me and the global reach and knowing that you can touch people's lives and you don't need to be scared of artificial intelligence. Like you can do it responsibly and you can teach others how to be fair, you know, for gender and race and location and education, all these parameters of it's like we're all unique and we should take that responsibility as humans and teach that to the machines that that are learning from us. I really enjoyed it, but I found myself, and this was nothing to do with the company, and I think in many respects this made it harder for me, was about 2 years ago, I was so burnt out. I was working just crazy hours. My weekends were only to recover. That's all I could do was like sleep and nap. I was in a place where others around me were really struggling with stress and anxiety, and like really struggling. A couple had gone off sick, and that also scared me that I was becoming really good at it. Like I was always like on, you know, highly caffeinated, running on adrenaline, and I knew that something had to change, and I knew that probably I wasn't that far off. I was maybe months away from, or weeks away from something happening. Or as often happens, our bodies go, "Hey, stop. Like, you're going to have an accident." And they're like, "No, I don't want an accident." That doesn't sound like an accident if you know it's going to happen. And your body kind of has a mutiny, right? It's like, "No, we're going to stop." And you hit self-preservation. So I went part-time. I went down to 3 days a week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And that was a huge leap forwards. And I started learning some other stuff like meditation, which I'd been doing since 2017. And I've been doing it every day, but it had continually grown in my life. Even just 10 minutes was starting to make a huge difference. And it created this contrast every day, which was like, well, you can wake up in a beautiful Zen-like state, and then you go into like, you throw yourself into mountains of emails and back-to-back meetings. And you know, I knew at the time, and I look back now knowing that that it was me creating that reality, you know, lacking boundaries, lacking self-love, and just doing what I could for my teams and my customers, and always putting myself last.
Yeah.
And so I also grew into doing self-learning, doing a couple of sessions each week, doing what I call quantum energy healing, like remote energy healing for people. And I had experienced that personally when I was the most stressed, that a friend had done for me, and it had left me feeling like I'd been on vacation for like 2 months.
Oh my goodness.
Overnight. And I was like,
oh my goodness,
this is real. It's like this, that had built up for months, and they described exactly how I felt, what I was doing in meetings, like dimming my light, keeping quiet, absorbing all that stress. And then, so I did a couple of qualifications as well. I did mindfulness teaching last year, which just really helped me more bring some of these more kind of esoterical, metaphysical things into the business world. So I started doing weekly meditations for the company at Amazon in the UK and some Europe, and we had some people in the US. And I also trained in a diploma for clinical reflexology, which is foot massage. And one of its, and every single thing I do has this theme of like stress and anxiety and burnout. And so I started that business for myself called Heart Centered Wellness, and I started on the 31st of May. And it's just been, I was so scared, right? You know, you're always so scared of like leaving a multi-six-figure salary. And as a family, we're like, what's going to happen? What are we going to do? I've got, you know, my wife and 2 kids. And as a main wage earner, you almost feel like the universe is going to, you know, is out to destroy you. And
Yeah.
but when you take a leap, and it helped, me when I took this leap, is I just surrendered to it. And yeah, the growth in sales that just month on month has been staggering to me, and makes me feel both humbled, but then also like I could have done it earlier, but I needed to be ready. And for that very reason, I would have just run in and burnt myself out.
Yeah, right. Oh my, I have so many questions. I'm trying to distill it down into a couple because this is, first of all, fascinating. When you were talking about your background in software and AI, the way you're wired in that way, in your brain and being to where you are now, such an interesting dichotomy. And I think about somebody named Bruce Lipton. Have you ever heard of that author? So
Yeah.
Bruce was medical, like physician, Western medicine. And I remember he kept saying, I need to find almost like the space between the space. There's something more than the medicine that we know of. And then he went off and his brain changed and he went off on the new path of healing. And I almost sense that in you, that you have this incredible holistic way of approaching things because of your background. And I want to talk to you a little bit about your business. So you opened it in May, this year, May?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Impressive. And so what does your business do? And do you have a team that support you as well?
Right now it's me.
Yeah.
I kind of plan to keep it as me. So yeah, to explain the business. So the kind of problem that I'm solving for the world is helping on these themes of stress and anxiety and burnout, but also
Yeah.
supporting people that go through what I went through, like a kind of like I describe it as like a spiritual awakening, where you really just you're going through this awakening journey to seeing you're discovering all your own truths and all the magic of the universe.
Yeah.
And so the three main things, I don't know if you can see my fingers, three main things I do. So for your mind, I do mindfulness teaching, and that is I do like a series of like one-on-one sessions for people. I do regular meditations, and also for companies when they ask me to come in. And so far I have a couple of corporate clients where I go in and do their work with their teams. And it's like really helping them, encouraging them to develop practices. A lot of it's about self-love, stress and anxiety. And meditation's just fantastic to that. And a lot of them say, oh, it's like an oasis of calm whenever they step into that. And the second stream is for your body. So I currently do clinical reflexology foot massage. I'd never actually experienced it until my wife recommended I train in it. And now she loves it because I do it like twice a week for her. And and I also do that now. I just started just yesterday doing it every Tuesday in a local well-being center.
Nice.
So it's great to get me out of my music studio because I write a song every day as well. And in that journey, like connecting with people and really working with them, and you'd be amazed. Like there's so many things we don't share publicly, but privately with a practitioner you would share, and they're such similar themes for so many of us. And I'm also just training in massage, so I'll be adding that to my in-person services. That's the Swedish deep tissue massage. And then thirdly is my more kind of spiritual, metaphysical work. So I do one-on-one sessions. This started about 4 years ago, doing a couple of sessions each week, doing what I call quantum energy healing. So it's really working with the energy of the body, with your chakras, scanning through them, clearing anything that doesn't serve your highest good, getting any messages from the highest aspects of yourself or your guides, whatever your belief system is. And then really helping people, like give them like tangible human actions, like lovely story, Jon, and lovely feelings, but what do I now do in my life to help change my life? I do mentoring for that. And I also started teaching it in January. So I now have 2 courses, like a foundational course, which is 2 months. And I think I've now run it 4 times, and it's about to start another 5th at the end of September. And then an intermediate course, which is getting up to close to all of my knowledge. So yeah, they're the main 3 things. There's lots, as you can tell. I'm exploring lots.
Yeah.
And a podcast, a weekly mindful leadership podcast. So yeah, there's lots.
What's the podcast called? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, it's called Mindful Leadership Podcast, and it's on YouTube and then all the other platforms, Spotify, etc.
Okay, guys, now you have another podcast you can go out and check out.
Yeah.
When did you know you had the gift of healing?
Great question. Somewhere along the lines of when enough people were telling me that I was doing these healing sessions for them, and they would describe, feeling much lighter, much brighter and energized. The physical symptoms that either they had asked me to look at and or I'd picked up, often around our solar plexus, the heart, any trauma, the stress and anxiety around the brain, and the shoulders and back. Like there's so many common things. But yeah, I don't know the exact time that I accepted it, but I feel it'll be around something like 3 years ago when I actually just created my own website and said, I'm just going to do this as a hobby and explore it as a potential job, as a potential career change.
Yeah, amazing. And you mentioned quantum healing. Do you need to be in front of somebody? Do you do that distance as well?
So not only do I not need to be in front of them, they don't even need to be there like on a Zoom call. I just need their name and their permission. Yeah. And most importantly, their permission. Like not only wouldn't I, but I don't believe I could help them if I didn't have their permission. And so, yeah, I do like a recorded session for people where they just give me their name, sometimes a photo. And then I also, most of them are done over like, video conferencing sessions so that they can ask real time and feedback. And I can ask them questions like, how does that feel? Is there other areas I can look at?
And that's the same process that you said you had, correct? When you felt like you were on holiday for 2 months after you had one.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. It was quite similar. Yeah. I think it was more similar to Reiki, which I've never trained in. But yeah, it was a really magical experience, and it was life-changing for me. I felt like there was just no way you could make that stuff up after suffering from something for years, like this, heaviness, this mist, this fog in my chest of stress and anxiety. To have that released overnight when I didn't even sleep much that night.
Wow. Then that says a lot that was at work behind the scenes, let's say. And you even said something after that which really kind of piqued my interest. And you said something about bringing light again into your meetings. I don't want to butcher your quote, but after you had that healing, you felt like you had light again.
Yeah.
I'd like to talk a little bit about that because I do know other healers, and I guess I'd be curious for you to explain what's different for you. Like, what do you bring differently to the table than potentially other people that are out there doing similar things?
Yeah, for me, my real focus, like going back to the first question, like with self-love, is I feel that when you teach self-love, not just as a kind of a notional thought concept, but also through energetically. So when I work with people, I'm always like making sure that, for instance, their heart chakra feels empowered, feels strong, feels healthy, high vibration and happy, and helping them face any of that trauma or negative energy that's pulling them down, or the shadows that they need to face. And that's just one example, right? But another big thing in business is also like your throat chakra. Like I feel like I would literally sing a song before I went to work, nice, big, open, voice, and I'd be singing away and just such joy. And then I'd literally turn on my laptop and just shrink right down. And it's that kind of anti-pattern, that lack of self-love, that dimming of my light. And that's what I teach my clients as well, is like, how does it really feel when you bring your whole being to your workplace? Like, don't hide away. Like, make your workplace see the whole of you so that they get a chance to react to all those aspects of you. And many of us hide our superpowers as well. I started singing songs at, directors meetings and taking them to presentations and even to the board members of Amazon. Like I would do these things because I was like, it's the whole of me. And when I left, they said, that was one of the things I loved the most about you. And I was like, oh, what about all the projects? Like, no, those things. Like you always brought such fun and always shone your light. And that for me is like self-love. It's saying, hey, like, what, love me or hate me, this is me. This is the whole me. And I do feel that as humans, we're all unique and we all have these unique superpowers. And it's so tempting to hide them. And I feel that's, to answer your question about what makes me unique, is helping other people see how unique they are and love that uniqueness.
Beautifully said. Now, if somebody's listening to this and they think, maybe I've gone off path, or I feel lost, or I want to get more into my spirituality, where would you genuinely say to somebody, this is where you could start? This is the first step.
So the first step for what I recommend is trying something like meditation, and with an open mind. So many of us say, but I've got a busy mind and it's just thinking about bills and meetings and minutes and what someone said, and it's okay. Like, it's all okay. Mine does too. I have to like push my phone away so I can't like touch it while I'm meditating. And mindfulness meditation is a fantastic starting place. You can maybe just build up a little courage to it. You can try it out. I have free mindfulness meditations, like a 5-day challenge on my website.
Perfect.
And you can try it out and just see how it feels for 5 days, 10 minutes for 5 days. And what you're trying to do is create that space to allow that uniqueness, that the real you, to have a voice. Sometimes it's your body that wants to talk to you. Sometimes it's your mind, or the dreams that you have, or the child inside of you, or all of these aspects. And I feel that helps you bring you back to yourself. And it's a fantastic starting place for anyone on their journey.
Perfect. And question for you would be, if we were to sign up for your 5-day meditation, do we get a bonus song from you?
Great question. Well, you can certainly ask for one. I do requests.
Excellent.
I do write a song each day, and I love doing collaborations with people. And yeah, please do. You can always request. It's remarkably rare how many requests I get, but I love doing them, and very fast.
Well, now that I know you're a singer and this is something that you do, I'm going to be fishing around for a song after this.
Yeah, please do.
So who do you like to work with? What type, if we could call them your perfect client, what would that person be like?
I would say anyone around the world, from any background, any culture, any age. I have like clients from 18 to, I think my oldest is something like 84. And the only real like thing that makes you stand out as a client is that there's something in you that makes you want to explore and try these things, like your way, to explore things like meditation, to explore your self-love and connecting with yourself. And so it's a little bit of hunger and an openness to receive what this universe has been trying to give you for quite some time. And I'm here to help you bring it back.
Okay. So if people are listening and they're intrigued and they're interested and they want this 5-day challenge, perhaps to the meditation, where do they go to learn more?
Yeah, you can just visit my website, jonbinnie.com, and you'll see under meditations and training, the free meditations to get you started.
Love it. So I have a couple more questions as we start to wrap up. And the first one is, where do you think the future of healing is headed?
Well, my father, he just in a couple of hours he's getting out of hospital, so I'm really hopeful for his recovery. He's been there for 3 weeks, okay, and really quite ill. And he said to me, "Will you be teaching the nurses here one day?" And I said, and I was like, "I don't know." and then I thought, that's what the universe does to you, right? It's like it gives you these big, huge concepts, and then checks to see how ready you are. And I'm like, it's quite funny because I'm working with nurses in some of the other work I'm doing. And I'm thinking, yes, like there is a move to being more holistic. And even listening to the doctors talking to my father, they were talking a lot more. They saw the importance of like, what hobbies are you doing? What's your exercise like? Like, what are the things, although you're 74, like, I think, it's easy to think you can give up, but no, it's still the start of an opportunity for exploration and joy in your life. And I see that this move to like including lots and exploring the usefulness of lots of different methods of healing really help people. And for instance, I blend psychic reading, quantum healing, and clinical reflexology in a service. And if none of that's for you, we won't take it at all. If the reflexology is for you, you could have that as a separate service. But the more I think we bring these together, the more kind of alternative views you get of often the same problem. Just like doctors and nurses work in teams, you can bring in these alternative views or complementary views. So yeah, I feel that's the way we're heading. And it's exciting
Nice.
and a bit unknown.
It's very exciting, and I would probably agree that it's very much needed as well. Like you were saying before, there's such an epidemic of burnout and anxiety and people losing their light and their paths, and they need different modalities, different ways of getting there. Because like you said before, meditation's a great place to start, and depending on how far you are into your journey, you might need different paths or steps to get there, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So as we wrap up, maybe tune in or whatever you'd like to do and think about our listeners around the world. And they're here because they're stressed and they do have anxiety. What would you like to tell them to help them go through this phase that they're in right now?
That you're not alone, and that there's that light inside of your heart. There's that self-love just waiting to be rediscovered and to explore an opportunity, even if it's a 30-minute calendar slot for yourself each week, or if it's time you're doing in your hobbies or with your family, or those times in between. Take that time to reflect on your self-love, and you'll find the answers. So all the challenges that you're experiencing right now will start to come to you, and allow them to come back to you. Allow yourself to come back to yourself.
Jon, it has been an absolute privilege having this conversation with you. There's something about your energy that is just so relaxing and it lifts you up. Just me being in your presence. So I have a feeling that people listening and watching will feel the same. So thank you so much for being here.
That's so kind. Thank you so much for having me on. Thank you, everybody.